As we look at our final match of the season, Scunthorpe United away this Saturday, I suppose you'll be looking for one last big effort from your players this weekend?
Yeah, look, it's the last game of the season and nobody wants to make it a long summer by not performing in the game at the weekend. So you've got to make sure that we're right, physically, mentally. Lads have got to go out and not turn the game into a testimonial and not do what's required to go and win the game. Obviously Scunthorpe have qualified for the playoffs, not quite sure what team they'll pick, but they'll certainly want to win the game to give that momentum and confidence going into the playoffs. We have to match them and ultimately try and come out on top.
Yeah, you mentioned that there about opponents. Scunthorpe obviously booked their place in the playoffs in midweek. I suppose, as you said, they'll want to finish the season on a high going into the playoffs, but equally some of their players and the coaching staff might have one eye on that first leg in terms of how they prepare in the starting 11.
Yeah, who knows what they're going to do. They said they've got the options of maybe resting a couple, maybe want to play the strong team and keep it going, and we'll address that when we see their team, obviously. But what we've got to do is focus what we need to do, make sure that we put in a performance for the number of Bradford City supporters that are travelling to Scunthorpe on Saturday tea time.
When you look back at this campaign, or certainly the period that you've been involved in, is it a case of you thinking what might have been? Obviously we all know, we spoke plenty of times before about the kind of stop-start nature of your first month with the weather and the postponements and the lack of training. But if you think even little things, Ryan McGowan getting injured in your first match, Charlie White getting suspended fairly early into your time at Bradford as well, it's maybe not quite been all equal for you, I suppose.
No, look, but these things happen in football. Unfortunately, people get sent off, people get injured, and the weather can play effect on games and training. But yeah, it's probably not helped us, because I would love to have had the full complement of players. I would love to have sort of had the games coming thick and fast to start with, and training every day out on the grass as well. So it's what's happened has happened. I think we've all learnt about each other. We've all learnt about the situation, and we're all hugely disappointed that it's not panned out that what the players wanted to make happen, and ultimately why I came to this football club to get at least into the playoffs, and we've not managed to do that, unfortunately.
But I suppose a run of one defeat in just six games in recently has shown that obviously what can happen when we've had that consistent run of Saturday to Tuesday games with the group. Yeah,
and also getting results and getting the confidence back, I think, has been a part that we've put in for some good performances, and ultimately that was the biggest problem that we've probably found, that when we came to the club, that we naturally thought, me and Glyn, that we would be able to get the players' confidence back on side very quickly, but probably didn't realise sort of how they've been affected by the run of games, and I think that played a part. But ultimately they've done well on the training pitch. They've then got some results, and you've seen glimpses back of what they're capable of doing, and they have to be consistent if you're going to get promoted. Unfortunately, they had that disappointing start to 2018 where nothing went right for everybody.
As we mentioned, in midweek, Scunthorpe booked their place in the playoffs. At the same time, we were playing Walsall. Unfortunately, Callum Guy got injured in that match. Is there any update on Callum?
Yeah, look, he's torn his hamstring, pulled his hamstring, so he'll miss the season, obviously the finale. Probably going to be four or 5 weeks, which he'll do his rehab, obviously, down at Derby. Wish him well, because he's a good kid, enjoyed working with him, and we'll just see what happens with him next year.
And as we obviously, Callum, when he came off, he was replaced by Cameron Hawkes. Jordan Gibson also got to run out on Tuesday night. Is there any possibility of maybe some of the younger players again getting another chance on Saturday?
Yeah, look, they'll be in the squad. We'll probably have Rhys Staunton in the squad, the young 16-year-old who made his debut in the Checker Trade. Whether he's in the 18 or not, we'll have to wait and see, but he's trained with us this morning. And really, we are short of bodies, given sort of one or two have been injured and ill. And ultimately pick a team to go out and put in a performance. But what the players that did well the other night, in the likes of Jordan and Cameron, if they get a starting berth or they're coming off the bench, they've got to replicate that performance. No point in being inconsistent and playing well for the number of minutes that they played the other night. They've got to go out and do it again, and that's when people can start talking about good players, and they'll have enjoyed the other night because there's a lot of accolades going their way, and hopefully they can produce performances like they did again if and when they're involved.
And the day after the Walsall game was our Player of the Year awards evening. Matthew Kilgallen dominated that, 7 trophies in total, including the main Player of the Year award total. I guess you'll be in agreement that he was a worthy recipient?
Yeah, I think he fully deserved it. I think it's no coincidence when you win so many awards like that people have got high value of what somebody's done in a season, and full credit to him. Killer's obviously been a good player, a model professional right the way through his career, because the number of clubs he's played at, the highest level he's played at, and ultimately he's a role model for the younger players to look up to in terms of training, the preparation, the dedication, very much on the Stephen Warnock sort of mould as well. And our younger players can certainly learn from these players, because they're at the back end of their careers, but they're still doing everything properly, and it's a big thing to ask the players to do, and opportunities there for people to learn from these experienced players. So fully deserved all his awards, and let's hopefully he can perform at the weekend if he's available.
Yeah, Matthew obviously missed Tuesday night for, I think it was a slight calf injury. Is there any possibility of him kind of getting back involved at the weekend? Yeah,
there's a possibility. We've got to see sort of how he comes through some work that he's going to do with people today. So yeah, let's be hopeful that he might be available, and hopefully he can, if he does, he can contribute to the team.
And you mentioned earlier in the interview about Stephen Warnock, obviously similar sort of role model to Matthew Kilgannon. Obviously it's scheduled to be his last competitive fixture on Saturday ahead of retirement. You know, obviously what a career Stephen has had throughout his time at football.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's too many more words that I can add actually to what I've already said in the last few weeks about him. He's a fantastic professional, dedication. He's trained this morning again as if he's making his debut tomorrow as an 18-year-old, and that's why he's had the career, because he's just such a model professional, dedicated, great characteristics. Because I'm sure he's not had everything go his way in his career, but he will have fought through bad times and enjoyed the good times. And again, he's another player where our younger players certainly have to look up to, and whatever he goes on to, I'm sure he'll approach it in exactly the same manner as he's approached his footballing career, because of what, that's a reason why he's got to the level that he has. So again, wish him well, and been a joy to work with, and let's hopefully he can contribute in the last game of the season and finish on a positive note.